Welcome back to the channel where we chase down the finest examples of American muscle history. And today, we are focusing our attention on a machine that perfectly embodies the duality of the golden era of Detroit steel. In the late 1960s, if you were a buyer walking into a Plymouth showroom, you had a choice to make. You could save a few dollars and opt for the Spartan, cartoonish, yet incredibly capable Roadrunner, or you could spend a little more for refinement, luxury, and status without sacrificing an ounce of performance. That upscale option was the GTX, a vehicle often referred to as the gentleman's muscle car. Today, we are looking at a stunning 1969 Plymouth GTX that has recently surfaced for sale, a car that proves that even in a bright, cheerful shade of yellow, a Mopar can be absolutely menacing. This specific example is not just a pretty face, it is powered by the most legendary engine to ever come out of the Chrysler Corporation, the 426 Hemi, making it one of the most desirable and potent combinations ever assembled on the Lynch Road assembly line. Let us start with the visual impact of this vehicle, because it's impossible to ignore. The car is finished in its factory-correct code Y2 Sunfire yellow. In a world dominated by aggressive reds, blacks, and high-impact greens, this yellow hue stands out as sophisticated yet vibrant. It's a color that demands attention without shouting, perfectly fitting the GTX's ethos. The paintwork is described as being in pristine condition, the result of a comprehensive rotisserie restoration that left no bolt unturned. Contrasting the bright yellow bodywork is the black vinyl roof, a hallmark of the premium muscle car segment in 1969, adding a touch of formal elegance to the aggressive coupe profile. Running along the lower rockers are the heavy black stripes that visually lower the car and give it a sense of motion even when standing still. The stance is commanding, sitting on unparalleled Magnum 500 wheels wrapped in red-line tires, a period-correct choice that ties the whole aesthetic together. This is a car that looks fast, expensive, and meticulously detailed, from the chrome bumpers to the specific GTX badging that signaled to everyone at the stoplight that this was not just a run-of-the-mill Belvedere. However, the real story of this car and the reason it commands a price tag approaching $200,000 lies under the hood. While the standard engine for the GTX was the formidable 440 Super Commando, this buyer ticked the option box that changed everything. Nestled in the engine bay is the J-Code 426 Hemi V8, the elephant engine that dominated NASCAR and drag strips alike. This naturally aspirated monster features dual 4-barrel carburetors and was factory rated at 425 horsepower and 490 pound-feet of torque. We all know those numbers were conservative, designed to placate insurance agents, while the real output was likely significantly higher. The engine bay itself is a work of art, featuring the massive heavy-duty radiator, the correct Hemi orange paint on the block, and the iconic air grabber hood assembly. This functional hood scoop allowed the driver to open a vent at the base of the windshield, feeding cool, dense air directly into the thirsty carburetors, a feature that is as functional as it is cool to operate. Backing up that legendary power plant is the transmission that every collector wants to see, the A833 4-speed manual. While many GTXs were ordered with the TorqueFlite automatic for cruising duties, the presence of the 4-speed transforms this car into a visceral, engaging driver's machine. It puts the driver in complete control of the Hemi's power band, allowing for spirited driving that an automatic simply cannot replicate. The power is sent to the rear wheels through the Dana 60 rear axle, equipped with 3.54 gears and a Sure Grip differential. This setup is part of the Super Track Pack, a bundle of heavy-duty components designed to keep the car together under hard acceleration. It means this GTX was built to launch hard and survive the abuse, making it a serious piece of hardware for anyone brave enough to unleash full throttle. Moving inside, the gentleman's hot rod theme continues. The interior of the GTX was a significant step up from its Roadrunner sibling. While the Roadrunner was rubber mats and taxicab benches, the GTX offered a level of comfort that rivaled luxury sedans of the day. This example features a spotless black vinyl interior with bucket seats that look as though they've never been sat in. The center console is a prominent feature, housing the iconic Hurst shifter with its wood grain knob, a tactile connection to the mechanical soul of the car. The dashboard is trimmed with wood grain accents, adding warmth to the cabin, and features a full array of gauges, including the tick-tock-tack, a combination clock and tachometer that's a favorite detail among Mopar enthusiasts. Everything from the carpeting to the headliner is new, maintaining the high standards set by the exterior restoration. It's a cabin where you could comfortably drive hundreds of miles to a car show, win a trophy, and drive home in style. The rarity of this configuration cannot be overstated. In 1969, Plymouth produced nearly 15,000 GTXs, which is a respectable number. However, when you drill down into the options, the numbers get small very quickly. Only 198 GTX coupes were built with the 426 Hemi and the 4-speed manual. That makes this car a true one of less than 200 example, putting it in the upper echelon of collectability. It's this rarity, combined with the desirability of the Hemi engine and the quality of the restoration, that justifies the asking price of $189,900. It's a significant investment, but for a car that represents the absolute pinnacle of Plymouth performance in the late 60s, it's a value that the market supports. The restoration quality extends to the underside of the car as well. Since this was a rotisserie build, the undercarriage is painted in body color Sunfire yellow, a detail that shows the car is not intended to be driven in the rain or on gravel roads anymore. The suspension components, the fuel lines, and the brake lines are all brand new, ensuring that the car drives as good as it looks. It's a museum-quality piece that's been preserved for the next generation of enthusiasts. The dual exhaust system with its chrome tips promises a soundtrack that is pure American thunder, the kind of deep, lumpy idol that only a high-compression Hemi can produce. In conclusion, this 1969 Plymouth GTX is more than just a yellow car. It's a time capsule from an era when horsepower was king, and manufacturers were afraid to put race engines in street cars. It dispels the myth that a lemon-colored car is a lemon. On the contrary, this is one of the sweetest rides currently available on the market. It combines the brute force of the 426 Hemi, the engagement of a 4-speed manual, and the refined styling of the GTX package into one stunning wrapper. For the collector who wants the ultimate Mopar that can turn heads with its color and snap necks with its torque, this Sunfire Yellow Beauty is the answer. It's a reminder of why the muscle car era remains so captivating to us decades later. It was a time of excess, of bold colors, and of engineering that focused on one thing above all else: speed.